Hello everyone! It has been a while since I've done one of these time-lapse videos, but recently I've opened up some commission slots. They're closed right now, by the way, but I will let you guys know when they are opened up again. It might be sometime later next year, maybe around spring. I'll have them opened again. Just keep an eye out for that. I'll have updates on Twitter and stuff, and as well as the YouTube community section area if you guys are interested in commissions. And I also have like pricing and stuff in the description below if you want to like check all that stuff out. But this time-lapse is about a particular commission about a certain pony game character, a pony fan game character named Ponatina. And specifically, this character is from Battle Gem Ponies. I wasn't too familiar with this particular game before this commission came in, but this game is a sort of Pokemon meets ponies kind of fan game, so to speak. And Ponatina sort of reminds me of like the color scheme and style you'd see from like Eevee from Pokemon, but of course ponified. I'm probably gonna have to give the game a try myself. I still haven't given it a shot yet, so I'm not too knowledgeable on that aspect. But I am kind of curious. I am curious about it. But yeah, I was approached by the development team for Battle Gem Ponies to work on a CG character, essentially, of one of the characters they had in their game, sort of to use as a promotional tool. I don't think they plan to use it for like box art or anything, but they do want like something for the side, I suppose. I guess we'll find out what they'll use it for. I'm not entirely sure myself. I just did the work that they asked of me to do. But anyways, here's the time-lapse. First of all, I'm not going to be here the entire time. I'm going to be chiming in here and there, sort of like the last time-lapse I did with the Leafeon. What was it, like 3 years ago or something? 4 years, actually? Something like that. But yeah. So, just to get some context of what I'm doing at first, I'm using my base models that I've been using for my pony characters since forever ago, because the commissions that I'm doing are basically exclusively ponies. I'm not doing anything else at this point. I might diversify a little bit later on if I feel for it, but at the moment it's just going to be commissions that would allow me to use my base models that I've been using for ponies. So basically the work that I have to do isn't related necessarily to the base model itself, it's more so adding on to the base, so the main, for example, and that's what I'm doing at the moment, is setting up the main mesh, and as well as setting up the materials and colors and such. That's where most of the work is going to be set. It's just modeling and shaping the main to the liking of the clients, which is the developers of Battle Gem Ponies. And if you were to look at the top left of the screen at the moment, I have some references displayed. And one interesting challenge about doing this commission is that the primary reference that I had to work with was pixel art, because this game is basically just a pixel art game. The base design for most of the characters doesn't have like a model sheet or anything. Most of it is just raw pixel art. They're built from the ground up using pixels. So in an unusual situation, I had very, very limited reference art to work with. Usually when I make models from like from French Magic and such, I have lots of references to work within the show itself. Even though all of it is 2D, I have lots of angles to work with and such, but in this particular case, it was just pixel art, as well as some other commissions that they got from other artists. In the case of the commissions they got from other artists, they were in the same situation that I was in, where they only had the pixel art as reference, so they had their own interpretation of the base design. And I sort of pulled from some of it, but some of the feedback that I got was that I needed to focus more so on the pixel art itself, because some of the interpretations from the artists isn't exactly what they wanted from the 3D model itself, so there was some negotiation back and forth about what I should do and such in that regard. It was definitely an interesting challenge. Definitely the hardest part of this is just trying to figure out how I'd want to interpret the style of the character that was only really envisioned as pixel art first before anything else, and it's not an easy task. There's a lot of things that doesn't usually get accounted for when you only work within pixel arts, and trying to translate that into 3D can be a challenge. But I think in the end, I managed something that worked quite well. But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say at this point. I'll let the time-lapse play out for now until there's some noteworthy aspects to point out. I don't think there's going to be too many of that. Most of it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, I think I'll leave you guys off from here. See you guys in a bit. Alright, so in this part of the time-lapse, I'm currently working on getting the rig set up for the hair. Of course, the body's already rigged up, it's already been made, but the hair is a new model, and if you aren't already aware, the hair, like the manes and tails of my models for my ponies, have never been actual hair particles. They've always been meshes. Specifically, they're layered meshes, and you'll see that later in the time-lapse too. I set up all the layers for it. You'll be able to get a better understanding of like how the effect is pulled off. Right now, it's just a single layer because it's easier to work with until it's all rigged up. Then I'll add some layers to it. But yeah, right now I'm adding some weight painting to it, which basically each vertex has a value of 0 to 1 for each bone. The higher the number, the more influence it has, or the more influenced it is by the bone it is assigned to. That's basically what weight painting is in a nutshell. I won't go into too much detail other than that, but that's what I'm essentially doing. Making sure the bones are influenced in the right vertices. And of course, getting the bones placed in the first place as well. This is usually quite a time-consuming process. I don't usually like to rely on automatic weights, especially for hair. I want to make sure the hair deforms the way I expect it to. So I usually go in vertex by vertex, making sure all the weights are as I expect it to be. The main reason I do it per vertex manually is because I don't usually go very high poly for the base mesh, right? If it was super high poly, this wouldn't be a very efficient way to do things, but as you can see, the vertex count for each hair piece isn't super high, so it's manageable. It's not super insane. It still takes a while though. Like it's a decent amount of work, and I am usually quite happy with how the results go once it's all done. So this is just how I do things. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here, and I guess I'll see you next time I have to chime in. Alright, so now, the modeling at this point is pretty much done. So, currently, I'm creating the first promo pose, as I call it, for Ponatina. Now, I didn't record every single one that I did for them. There was quite a good batch of them, but I didn't record all of them, because this time is already quite long enough already. But we do get a little peek on how I would approach this, and there's not much to it, I suppose, but actually right now it looks like I'm optimizing some of the viewport shaders, which is just a little extra, I suppose, but it's not the main thing that I'm doing. It's mostly just so I can pose things in real time without things lagging out a lot. With the complex shader that I had set up, it was kind of a pain. So that was the main reason for that. But other than that, what I'm doing right now is just posing the character to something that would seem like it would fit the personality. I experimented quite a bit with how I would approach the posing. As I noticed with the art style of the game, most of the characters, or rather most of the ponies, usually have expressions that are quite intense. Usually they're frowning in the brows, so it's something I kept in mind when posing the characters. Usually the relaxed, cute type posing I usually do with my pony characters are not the right approach for this. So I changed my approach. But yeah, there's not much else to say. The time-lapse is about to end here, so thank you guys so much for checking the time-lapse out. It is quite fun, actually, to do commissions like this. This is definitely the biggest commission that I think I'll probably ever get for quite a while. And I still have quite a few more commissions to go through, and that's in my queue. So I would expect some more time-lapses to approach your feed when I work on those as well. They'll be quite fun. There's some good ones in store. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.